Good afternoon. Sorry for the delay. I'm going to present the Nuclear Energy University Program's RC-4 work scope. So this is part of the Light Water Reactor Sustainability Program, so I'm going to give a brief overview of that program. The vision of that program is to enable existing nuclear power plants to safely provide clean and affordable electricity beyond the current licensing period. So this involves two aspects. One is license renewal for a subsequent license renewal that goes beyond the 60-year current licensing period. But it also involves the economics, because plants aren't going to operate unless they're economic. So this will, our program involves making sure the nuclear power plants remain viable in long-term operation as they continue to operate. So we're focused on the fundamental science behind understanding, predicting, and measuring changes in materials as they age in reactor environments. Applying this knowledge to develop methods and technology to support safe and economical long-term operation, and then researching new technologies that enhance plant performance, economics, and safety. So the program is focused in, let's see, we have 4 technology areas. The first is nuclear materials, aging and degradation, and that's developing the scientific basis to understand and predict long-term environmental degradation of material, behavior of materials in nuclear power plants. Providing data and methods to assess performance of systems, structures, and components essential to safe and sustained nuclear power plant operation, and developing a means to detect and characterize aging degradation processes. So this gets into like non-destructive examination. The second area is risk-informed safety margin characterization, and this is understanding the safety margin of plants as they age and they continue to operate. So this is looking at developing a significantly improved safety analysis tool in order that would allow you to do this risk-informed safety margin characterization. So, and that tool is Relapse 7 and a Grizzly tool. And these work within a framework, which is another tool called Raven, to analyze the safety margins of aging plants. And all these tools developed primarily at Idaho National Laboratory work under the MOOS framework. So we'll talk about that in a little bit as part of this call. Relapse 7 is a systems code that is used to model the whole thermodynamic of the whole plant. Raven is a simulation controller, and Grizzly is a component aging and damage evolution model. And we'll talk about that a little more. The third area is advanced instrumentation and control systems technologies. And this looks at addressing the long-term aging and obsolescence of existing INC technologies, and establishing a strategy to implement long-term INC modernization. And this area also looks at advanced condition monitoring technologies for reliable plant operations. So this looks at online monitoring of both passive and active components. And finally, the fourth area is kind of a catch-all for other topics, but we call it systems analysis and emerging issues. And this is looking at some of the high-impact issues like water usage issues, and we've also been dealing with some of the lessons learned from the Fukushima accident in this area as well. So a little bit more on the aging, materials aging and degradation area. We're looking at various components in a plant, primarily, again, passive components. The typical area that you think about are reactor metals, the reactor pressure vessel, internal steam generators, and such. And this is looking at irradiated-assisted stress corrosion cracking, high fluence effects of reactor pressure vessel steels, and cracking of nickel-based alloys. But in addition to those, that typical reactor metals, we're going into other materials that are of increasing concern as plants age beyond 60 years. That includes concrete, the aging of concrete, irradiated and some harsh environments, and also looking at monitoring tools for concrete, non-destructive examination of concrete structures, and potentially some online monitoring capability for concrete. And then also cabling, looking at how cable ages in plants and the unique environments of plants. It includes the radiation effects, but also some of the unique environments that exist at nuclear power plants. And again, and also looking at non-destructive examination for cables as well. And finally, we're looking at the mitigation or repair and replacement technologies. So there's weld repair techniques for particularly for highly irradiated materials. Post-irradiation annealing, it's been thought about for quite a while about possibly annealing reactor pressure vessels. Hasn't been done in the U.S. yet, though. And also advanced replacement alloys. So that was a little bit more detail on the materials aging and degradation. The next slide provides a little more detail on the risk-informed safety margin characterization pathway. And this call that I'll discuss in a minute, it's really a joint project between these two pathways, the materials pathway and the risk-informed safety margin characterization pathway. So RISMC looks at safety analysis technique, or excuse me, margins analysis techniques. So it's developing techniques to conduct margins analysis, including methodologies for carrying out simulation-based studies of margin. And so to do that margins analysis, you really need to a better set of tools to do that. And so the tool set that's currently under development is primarily these three tools: Relapse 7, Raven, and Grizzly. Again, Relapse 7 is a systems code that will evaluate the plant behavior at the plant level. And it's an advanced computational tool, so it'll allow faster and more accurate analysis. Raven is a simulation control environment, and it really controls the scenario, so it provides input to the plant state to Relapse 7, and it integrates output from Relapse 7 with other considerations, so other codes, other modules that could be linked to that. An example of that would be the Grizzly code, which is an aging simulation model. Component aging and damage evolution will be modeled in this module and coupled with Relapse 7 and Raven. So the purpose of the RISMC methodology is to support plant decisions for risk-informed margins management in support of economics, reliability, and sustain the safety of the current plants. So the goals are twofold: develop and demonstrate a risk assessment methodology coupled to safety margin quantification that can be used by plant decision makers, so utility managers, as part of their safety margins management strategies. So, you know, as plants change, power uprates, equipment replacements, aging of the plants, the utilities need to understand how the safety margin is changing and manage that in combination with the resources that they're spending to maintain the plant and to make changes. So to facilitate this capability, we are creating an advanced RISMC toolkit that will enable the RISMC methodology to be employed. And finally, it's not part of this call, it'll be part of the next call, but it's the Advanced Instrumentation, Information, and Control Systems Technologies. And again, it's to address the long-term aging and reliability concerns of the existing INC technologies. And so we're establishing a strategy, working with industry to implement long-term modernization of these systems. So talking in particular about the call, the call involves predictive models for materials degradation. Materials and components under extended service conditions will see very long lifetimes under stress, temperature, corrosive coolant, neutron or gamma radiation fields. The Grizzly code, which we discussed, is a moose-based application. It's under development to provide the RISMC analysis with a simulation capability for materials degradation. Currently, the Grizzly is simulating the damage evolution of reactor pressure vessel materials, but there's plans to expand that into core internals, concrete support and containment structures, corrosion and high temperatures, under high temperature and pressures. So in support of the Grizzly development proposals, are requested that develop predictive models for key degradation mechanisms relevant to extended service and are compatible with the moose environment. The materials of interest include concrete, cable insulation, reactor pressure vessels, core internals, nickel-based alloy piping, and weldments, and possibly other ones as well. And proposals should include validation and verification activities. Do we have any questions?
We have both Rich Reister, Federal Program Manager, and Curtis Smith, the technical point of contact from the Idaho National Laboratory, available to answer any questions. So please submit those over the next couple of minutes. What materials or alloys are used for the cabling that is of concern related to degradation?
This is Jeremy Busby, and the materials pathway. There are no metals or alloys that are of interest for the cable insulation. There are a variety of standard electrical cable insulation forms the industry uses quite broadly. The highest value cable insulations for the 60 to 88 year period would be EPR or XLPR. There are several listings in a variety of the DOE LWRS plans with more details on a longer list. The EPR and XLPR are the two highest priority cable forms.
The next question, what DPA value level are you looking for LWR materials in regards to aging and degradation?
Again, this is Jeremy, but that is going to be very dependent on both the material system, the location in the core, and whether it's a PWR or BWR. The highest fluence for core internals would be in PWRs at 80 years of life, and components in that, stainless steels in that case may see 80 to 100 DPA. We're talking about the pressure vessel and a PWR at the highest possible damage levels. We're in the high 10 to the 20th, or a fraction of a DPA, around half a DPA.
Next question. When you speak about fundamental research on concrete deterioration, you mean existing concrete materials, or does the call consider research on new concrete materials with more durability?
Materials aging and degradation for the sustainability program is only focused on the existing plants.
Next question. Are degradation modeling softwares available in public domain, or where can they be found?
I think the spirit of the call is to develop the codes and materials models. These would probably be written in codes that are compatible with the Grizzly tools or tool set, and those codes would be commercially available. Or the source software, the codes are traditional ones.
Yeah, there may be some software packages out there that look at different fundamental degradations, such as flow accelerated corrosion. So one of the questions would be, can we either convert those or restructure those, or are there new, even more updated versions of those that would be put into the moose kind of approach? But as Jeremy mentioned, that's kind of the key part of the work is to figure out what those models look like, where are the gaps in those models, and what the implementation issues would be.
Next question, are you looking for multi-physics, multi-scale code development?
What was the question? Multi-physics and multi-what?
Multi-physics, multi-scale.
Yes. In general, the answer is yes.
Are you focusing more on fuel degradation for degradation models?
Did you say for fuel?
Correct, for fuel degradation.
No, fuel degradation is not part of the materials or the RISMC part of LWRS. Fuel is considered a replaceable component and not a long-lived component. Fuel is covered in other DOE NE efforts.